And thank you very much for joining us once again on State of Play. Look, the political season is up and running. It started almost a year, 2 years to go now. It's less than that to 2024, but it is heating up. In the NDC, they are now beginning to show that they mean business, but it appears that the business that they mean is all around one individual by name John Dramani Mahama. Raymond Acquah is with me as usual here on State of Play. I mean, sometimes we forget that State of Play is actually supposed to be a political show, right? But we've been talking a lot about other things.
Yeah.
So let's
when the economy, in fact, political economy is still about economy.
Yes.
When the economy becomes the most important political issue in the Republic of Ghana, we deviate a lot. We can actually stay with those ones. What you were saying, do you know that, for example, today, I almost suspected that they would have said something like, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, we are not sure we still have forms available, and that for the presidential candidates, we have run out of some of them. Yeah. From Kake Samoa through to the regional ministers that went out there, and quite frankly, regional ministers massing up to go and pick up forms. And listen, the very day Kwabena Dufo declared that he will contest this, that day, one of the trending issues in the Republic of Ghana was the presumptive candidate. The picture of John Dramani Mahama, former ministers, members of parliament. Today, even if there is a slight perception in the NDC that you have slight problems with Mahama dating back to 1928, or you really do not like somebody who's very close to Mahama, you are in trouble. Even if it is perceived that you've had dinner.
Even the perception.
Yes, perception. If it is perceived that you've had dinner recently with Dr. Kwabena Dufo or any of the other people, and let's be very clear in our minds, to some people today, the very participation of Afro-Kojobonsi, they rule him out before the conversation starts. And I'm told that there's another person who I doubt if he'll get a form.
Somebody picked out the form yesterday.
This is
Kobia.
Oh yes, he's the one I was talking about.
He picked up forms.
The NDC has massively reformed. You recall what happened, right? Some time ago. Yeah. There was a gentleman.
There was a gentleman. I remember.
No, they even went to the point of saying he has a problem.
Yeah, they said he had a mental.
How the party came to the conclusion that the man has mental? I remember. Without a mental assessment, without a psychiatric evaluation, is one thing. Is the first thing we should consider. But let's be clear on this particular point. John Mahama has become, I want to choose the right word. He's become the NDC. 99.9% NDC. Yeah. And I was saying that if there is any indication on the ground that you have had a conversation with a third party, that can we really consider whether or not Mahama is our best bet? That conversation in and of itself disqualifies you from being true and proper NDC. So, Koku Anyidohu is not, in the estimation, true and proper NDC. Any other person, even Ofoswan Pofo, one of the biggest. And in this case, it was unwritten. Yes! In fact, nobody adduced any form of evidence. Yeah. Nobody presented anything tangible. Nobody said it with the boldness that you expect allegations to be made against him. Yeah. But the perception, rumor mill, perception, we kept hinting at that. That's going to worry the man. That the way it's become so pervasive, and yet nobody, and it's not a courtroom. Yeah. It's public opinion. Yeah. When people influence public opinion to the point that an individual is perceived not to be acting in the interest of, not even the NDC as an entirety, an individual. One person, that interest of John Dramani Mahama is now coterminous with the interest of the entire political party. That if he even dare move to have ideas that are contradictory to his own, not that you oppose him, ideas, you might be in trouble. But as to whether that is progressive, as to whether that's the kind of politics we want to build in the 21st century, I watched that the MP of Buckingham stand before the British Parliament opposing his own Prime Minister on COVID rules. I watched others go out, and there was a time in the UK Parliament that the Speaker himself, Beckow, was fiercely independent and people thought he was with the opposition. So a certain element of internal disagreement is extremely important. so that there's no hero worshipping in the political party. But as NDC is real politics today, if I were a senior member of the NDC, merely saying that hero worshipping is a bad thing was enough to disqualify me from being anybody relevant in the party.
But here's the thing, though, if you look at it. But I think it's just the natural course of things. You have a man in John Mahama who, for the first time, he's made history for the wrong reason, for being the only sitting president to have lost a first-term elections. Okay. So, and then he wants to run again. We've not had that before. It's not automatic that it is almost as if he has one more term to go. So the question is, will anybody dare contest Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2020 for the party's primary? Nobody, right? Because he's a president.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like the logical thing to
do. So I guess in the minds of the NDC, because he was their only former president, living former president, who still constitutionally has an opportunity to run again, it is no-brainer, right? So if you look at that, you say, well, I mean, it makes sense. So do you want to change him? But the challenge also is that because he's been president before, that also becomes with his own significant challenges, right? Mostly.
He has one term left.
Exactly. Mostly. When you do your first term and you now automatically you win your second term, he's the first person ever to lose your... And if he did that very unwanted history is because it's the people's ultimate verdict that before 2026, 2016, when he lost, it was possibly the worst president we've ever had. Possibly. Why? Because the verdict
was extremely obvious, actually.
I'm saying that based on the outcome of the 2016 elections.
Yes.
Okay.
A very huge margin.
That margin, but also because the people, the voters, also said, although we normally will give everybody else a second term, we won't give you. That, for me, those two factors made him in an unprecedented form, possibly. I mean, not possibly. I think the evidence, because of those two factors, it's hard to argue. At that time, now that we've seen Nana Addo for 8 years, two terms,
yes.
I think now, on the face of the exchange sheet, I think Nana Addo has now done him slightly. Okay, on that verdict. I mean, but you could say that even in Nana Addo's performance, he still got a second term.
That's true.
Right? He still got a second term.
The slight variation, I think, happened in Mahamas' case was a very strange system, and I was always looking out for it. Going into 2016, it would have been the NDC as a political party's second term.
Yes.
But it will be his first term.
Yes.
The NDC, and I recall, even sometimes when we were speaking, they tend to make it look like Mahama's second term supersedes the party's second term. Because that would have been the party's third term. And that never happened before.
So they were clearly campaigning, trying to clear that distinction between party and the candidate.
But in the minds of the people in this
republic,
had
accepted that it was two
terms.
terms.
If we had had the quest to vote for candidates and not parties, perhaps we could have separated John Dramani Mahama from his political party. But to a very large extent, people still felt when the party is in office for 8 years and went heavily against him. Despite all the efforts to try and counter that with campaign messaging and all of that, it went heavily against him. I also agree with you that, sometimes it's almost like, those who support football teams very much,
like myself,
when you leave a team that was not performing very well and go to another team, and after 2 seasons, that team is equally not performing. I think what is currently happening is adding on to a certain thinking that Mahama couldn't have been the worst thing to happen to us.
I mean, that's the beauty of
and
time heals all.
And you remember after he lost the election, early 2017, 2018, whenever Mahama was trying to speak, the references that were made to his period say, hey, you have no more authority to join this conversation. Fast forward to the times you are in today. He's almost like a saint. Sometimes when you hear him and the kind of responses that people are giving up, it's almost like you say, hey, you don't have any legitimate right to attack the man. Because, yes, it's as if time cleared all of the things that we held against the man. Yeah. And now he looks very clean. Adding on to the thinking within the NDC that who else is in this position? Are we now going to groom a candidate? Are we now going to raise one? But my difficulty is that it has reached the point where mere thought of dissent is being problematic.
Yeah, I mean, so that is the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
That people are, and people are using that. All they need to do is to tag you anti-John Mahama.
Yeah, you are dead.
That's all.
You are completely gone.
Once they tag you anti-John Mahama.
Oh.
And the parliamentary candidates.
Yeah.
Who are picking forms. It's going to be a thing.
It's a massive fight on the ground.
It's going to be a thing.
I know what people are doing even today. Do you know, Evans? Visit John Dramani Mahama. Get a picture with him.
That's all.
Take it on the grounds.
That's all.
Start with that. That's what some of the people are doing.
That's all.
Nobody on the ground has spoken to Mahama and asked whether you support the guy. No. Do that.
Yeah.
If your opponent is not smart enough to also go and get his own picture, so that you even the plate, if it is purely based on that particular strength alone, people are saying, oh, but if he's Mahama's blessed one, why am I wasting my time with the other alternative?
Raymond, you make a very important point, and I think I'm going to make this very complex for you, right? Because I'm pretty sure you've heard that Kwabena Dufo Jr. is running for parliament.
For a seat,
right? In this is Setra from
yes,
right. So the point you first made, his father, is going to contest against John Mahama.
Yeah,
you should go and get a picture with John Mahama.
Frankly,
you didn't go and get a picture with John Mahama.
Frankly,
or his father.
But for his family's tradition and relations with that seat. But for the fact that it's also an NDC seat that, but see, if I were his opponent today, the biggest argument I could make against Kwabena Dufo Jr., who may be qualified, competent on his own right, is that, but why are you putting this guy who's already opposing the entire party in this seat? You need to make sure that Mahama is choosing one. His father cannot be contesting Mahama, and I will actually be losing out. And he will be actually supporting Mahama. No, it cannot happen. He will support his father. Let him come out boldly. Can he ever do that? In fact, that's the challenge you put to him. Can he ever come out boldly and say, I do not support my father. I support John Dramani Mahama. Tomorrow, he'll be seen with a picture of John Dramani, shaking hands, the blessed one. Why didn't you take that blessing from your own father? No. Mindful of the relationship between father and son. The very couples he had run previously, based on the father putting him there, I doubt if he can do so. But that's also something that everybody can hold against him. It's something that will be a very, very big argument which will not go in his favor. So, in all fairness, his biggest challenge will be doing that. He can sit at home with his father and tell him that, see, I'm contesting a different contest with you. Your chances of winning are way lower than mine. So, if you really want the future of this family staying in politics, you need to project men.
But you raise an important point. You start with his father. Does he genuinely believe he's winning this?
Let me be frank. I actually feel that to him, he feels if he's counting on something, that people know me that I have the competence and qualities to do this job. If you work hard and put me there, I will deliver. Does he genuinely believe so? I'm sure he's so convinced that the odds are against him bigly. When he talks, you get the impression that, well, the people of the NDC should look to something more. If they don't look to something more, then I don't stand the biggest chance in the country because the writings are on the wall. But he also feels that if today it's possible that the NDC did a debate on how to get us out of this economic mess, he believes he will be a better person with a better idea, with the better ideas, with a more the better plan to deal with the situation than
and to be fair,
John Dramani Mahama.
And to be fair, the chairman of the NDC makes that point for him. Because he says the reason why Ato Forcing
is supposed to be
was appointed to replace
how do I do so?
And because the man is an economist. And because the economy is going to dominate the elections, isn't there somebody there who can? If that's the argument, then better person else lead you than an economist?
And this Fourth Republic, the time that he was finance minister, the credit and the history and the data holds up basically against all others. 14%, 9%, 6%.
In fact, we were the world's fastest growing economy at that time, biggest GDP.
So when you put that together, he really looks very good on those ones. And again, when you consider the fact that he's been governor, he's been finance minister, and he wants to be president, you would think that he has a lot more credibility in those areas. But then again, the people who may decide the NDC is fail. And that's where I think he has a problem. If, like some say, this was an election left to all Ghanaians to participate, I'm sure he would have thought he had a better chance. Yeah.
Because you think you appeal to the
yes! A large group of people who predominantly may want to see other things than what Mahama may bring to the table as the criteria for determining what is supposed to be the leadership of the NDC. Perhaps that would have worked out. I'm not so sure with the time left, with the period he's coming in, and I'm not sure whether he'll have the strength to go forward into the next, because there's a contest after John Mahama. Yeah. Whether if Mahama wins the next election, he will stay for only one term. That contest, maybe age will not be on his side, but that's a contest. But if you do not take care, he comes up strongly. But it also may depend on what happens with Mahama. Because if you have seen as an enemy of Mahama, because now enemy of Mahama is enemy of NDC.
Yeah.
Contesting Mahama is coterminous with being enemy of Mahama. That's really what's on the ground anyway. So whether you like it or not, that may be the conditions that they are putting against you. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not so convinced. If you speak to him keenly, that is a man who is preparing to go to the Jubilee House in 2025.
I mean, so that is where the John Mahama has declared. I mean, that's why if you look at our flyer, this is a cakewalk for him. It's supposed to be. I mean, and, everybody else is bowing to him. Everybody's following what themselves, showing him their reverence. You know, everybody's queuing to go there. There's a sense in which that could also give you this false sense of invincibility, right? And in politics, it's really, as you made a point at the beginning, the NDC is John Mahama. John Mahama is NDC at this point. It's almost like where the MPP was, I think in 2010, coming to 2009, coming to 2012 elections, was it? Yeah, 2012. That period, when in that internal primary, Nanado was swept by 90 plus, if I recall correctly. I mean, the NDC is there now, of course, and Nanado, of course, then lost elections, challenges. But John Mahama is favored by a number of factors. One is the economy, right? Because of, and you made a point, the MPP has managed to cleanse its image significantly.
Surprisingly.
And because of course, he's also the first president, the first candidate to be running when he had been a president before. It brings him a lot of, challenges, but also positives. Yesterday, Felix Kwachifusu made the point that we should expect him to sort of address the nation at some point and lay out his vision and what he plans to achieve. I'm curious to hear that. I'm curious to hear if he will admit, first of all, to his mistakes in his first term as president.
Okay.
Because you want to see genuineness about, has he reformed and is he going to be different from the John Mahama we knew, right? But as far as the party's internal primaries are concerned, they should just give the thing to him now and let's just move on with that.
Like, I mean, this
is a coronation.
I mean, you have to do yes.
It's a coronation. Just give the thing to the man and let's move on our lives. But the tragedy of it is the very public declarations of endorsement by party executives, elected executives. I find that worrying. I mean, yesterday I was making the point to the chairman of the party's elections committee, who says there's nothing wrong with it. Why? Because he says elected party executives can declare their support so far as they do it in their individual capacities.
And how do we separate that?
Exactly. Natural. How do you make that separation? So yesterday, the elected chairman across like a regional chairman, all of them trooped to the place to give him, to just bless him and take the forms on his behalf. And these chairmen in their respective regions will play a role in the supervision of the elections, because the election is going to be held in each region, each constituency, right? So the elections must not only be fair, must be seen to be fair, right?
To entrench democracy.
To entrench democracy.
In fact, indeed, the Political Parties Act says that political parties are supposed to conduct themselves in a democratic manner.
No, they will tell you that because it is almost all delegates who are in good standing can vote on this particular matter, then of course, then democratically they've met that constitutional criteria. However, you have a situation where some of the referees are taking sides in the matter, right? That clearly creates a problem. And I mean, for the Dufours, the Kojo Bonsus, and others, I think they've handled it gracefully, right? Yeah. Because can you imagine if this was happening in the MPP?
No, there'll be a lot more turmoil.
It's just going to be.
Can you believe that? Who would have been the perfect candidate here? And imagine even slight indications of we are not doing timetables.
Even the timetable.
Yes.
The fact that is
people are out there saying you can't do that.
You lost the authority. We're not going to listen to you anymore. You know.
No, because also I think it's the people that are involved here. You are less likely to have Dr. Kamau coming out boldly and saying I'm being treated unfairly. I mean, yes, maybe, but even you consider his engagement and ask what's his end game. Yeah. So I mean, some things might come up, right? If Kojo wants to still remain NDC, if he speaks up against John Mahama boldly, he'll be in trouble. He may not be seen as proper NDC for God knows how long, even if this electioneering process is gone. So I think everybody is calculating what they can do and cannot do. Unlike what's happening in the MPP, where you still be able to do the very things you have to do.
But you make a very important point. It will happen in the MPP because the king is stepping away.
That's true,
right? When the king is stepping away, the throne is vacant. As we speak, the throne is in effect vacant.
Yeah.
So you can get away with the law. So you can say anything you want. I mean, that's why. The last time I had
there's no central control power.
I mean, you can say anything you want. I mean, so but in the NDC, the inability of the other candidates to be that frontal in complaining and raising issues, I think it's an admission. I believe that this contest they've already lost it before.
It's a done deal. Yeah.
No, seriously, because if you genuinely believe that you stand a proper, realistic chance of winning this, and you are in a political fight with stakes as high as we expect it to be, you will be complaining. Even if not you directly, you will get your surrogates. You will get your surrogates out there publicly voicing concern about the party not doing anything. So I asked the question yesterday, what are the guidelines? And what do they say? And the man says, well, we have guidelines for the elections. And the guideline says, if you are an elected officer, like regional chairman, you cannot declare support in your official capacity. I'm like, but you can declare. I mean, how do you make the distinction?
Meanwhile, listen, for a very long time, this kind of distinction doesn't
exist.
It's only when even you, the one who's explaining the guideline, want to please what they call the candidates, the presumptive candidate. That's the only basis for which you do this maneuvering and proper, clever way of. No. Let's be fair to ourselves. See, it's true that Mahama is the king in the NDC today, but we should not also forget that the project we are pursuing is democracy. Having a level playing field, regardless of how preposterous the contest is important. In fact, that's the true test of your democratic tendencies and your credentials. If you have a level playing field, it also requires the arbitrators and also the regulators or the referees should be seen, if for nothing at all, should be seen as acting in independent ways.
Yeah.
Again, it should also be clear that we are not putting any impediments in the way of people who merely want to contest, who merely want to voice dissent in a multi-party democracy. And that's one thing that we should watch. We should not create within our political parties demigods, people who are beyond reproach. It comes back later on to bite us. It makes them so powerful that even when they get into governance, raising people with opposing voices, which is sometimes needed, might be difficult. Let's be careful about how we craft and mimic dictatorial tendencies in political party structures. No matter how you want to do it. I remember in 2008, Dr. Afarijan laid out how free and fair elections are done. And he said categorically that a level playing field is perhaps the most important element of free and fair elections. If you do not have it level, and the level is not just saying that anybody can contest, you can pick up a form. The level goes beyond that. It actually considers who is doing the declaration of the contesting rules, who is interpreting it. Is the person fair to all groups? Is the person so independent that they'll treat all people fairly? Are the people with equal resources or very close to equal resources? Is anybody abusing incumbency? All of those things ought to be watched if we truly want to practice proper democracy. So that today it is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Tomorrow it's President John Mahama. The next day it could be another person, and that's why we grow. People who feel that they cannot be controlled in any way, they should not engage in sharing power in a way that they feel they are so strong, powerful. I have not said that today. Mahama feels invisible, that nobody can touch him within the NDC. But when we create out of that system, in our quest to please them, in our quest to make it look obvious that, listen, even if the contest you are going into is a charade, even if it's so, we are creating systems that may come back to bite us. But we've been at this experimentation in the Fourth Republic for 30 years. We should be able to withstand, and take the storm of people merely saying, I disagree with you, so I'll contest you. No matter what the people or the majority of your following says. And that's what the beauty of the game, since we chose to pursue democracy.
Yeah, I mean, so as for this contest, the NDC's internal primary, it is John Mahama's. It's just an acclamation, and it just
acclamation.
The coronation. Just give it to him, and let's everybody moves on. But the individuals.
In fact, I think that the conversation we may be having when this election is happening or over is what percentage John Mahama is getting. Yeah. It's which 90 range he's getting. Yeah. That's really the conversation we may be having at the end of the day.
Yeah, really, that's what it will come down to.
Somebody sent a message. Can you believe it? Abu Kari Al Hassan said, "Watching you from Mion, I am very impressed with the kind of people coming out to contest the NDC." He says parliamentary primaries. Evans, as I'm a delegate, but to be honest with you, JM is the candidate I'll vote for. From Al Hassan Mion, JM just picked what they call it, the form. JM has not spoken to you about his plans. JM has not campaigned to you yet, but you have determined candidate already.
Okay, so to force him to be the same thing. Just I will vote for him. I will deliver my.
Even
let's read a bit more of that.
Yes, there is Ahmed Jibo Ambo. Please, question to you people over there: is it the first time NDC are voting? No, I'm not sure. No, it's not the first time.
No, of course.
Really?
Maybe it's a point he wants to make.
No, that's all that you said. So I'm a Jibo Ambo. Forgive me, but I have not seen or will not understand your question. Can you provide further and better particulars? King Louis Hambo so said, "Good afternoon, Ghana." And that's all that he's actually saying. And Hilda has a different message. So surely, let me check the Joy News handle too. So that was on Joy FM, yes. And that's also on Joy FM. Maybe the Joy News handle may have several other messages that are different from what's on this particular plane. Well, the Joy News one has messages too. It says, even though it was his first term, it was the party's second term, and Nana had sold his Matra and Acquah for 12 years. Unless it's unpowerful. He's the one explaining this to you. And the 2017-2018 group, the MPP parades, were all achieved because of the foundation that was laid by the Mills Mahama administration. Nana dear, not good. That is what Ampafo is saying. Mohammed Hadi Idris Sukoli said, JM all the way. Before should not even pick forms. The man has already paid the form. No, now Alexis Ampafo says currently NDC is JDM and JDM is NDC. That's how it looks. So the demise of Jerry John Rawlings needed someone to step up, and he did. And that's what he's saying here. Mahmoud Mubarak says Nana Dankwa Akufo has not undone JDM slightly. It is a joke to compare Nana to JM. Nana is the poorest president this country has ever had. Poor as in money, as in as in performance. Oh, okay, all right. Monitoring from who? That's what Mahmoud is saying. Now I'm following from Grand Cru. County in Liberia. Emmanuel Kofa is the one giving us that message. this one, Solomon Vile Titiseram says, my favorite political talk show. Keep it up, guys. And that is also what you're saying. King Louis Hamboso says, oh, thank you. Well, Ghana with the Ghana flag should give say, the rest should step down. JM number 1.
You know, I don't know why I suspect that the closer we get to May, we may actually see somebody dropping out of the race.
Yeah.
Because you have to pay 500,000 seats, half a million.
If I were to be Kojo Bonsu, I mean, in all fairness, if I were to be Kojo Bonsu, and if I was giving political advice, you can still pursue post-JM ambitions without contesting JM.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, I strongly doubt he will return the form.
Yeah, because 500,000, when it's so obvious that...
I mean, it's not like half a million is a big deal for Kojo Bonsu. But I believe Kojo Bonsu is in this race for profile enhancement.
Yeah.
He knows that John Mahama, after 4 years, assuming he wins the election, will be no more, right? He'll be like Nanado.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to step in. The argument for John Mahama now is that he's the most marketed candidate.
Yeah.
His face is out there, right? You have Kojo Bonsu, whose face will be out there in this campaign period for the primary.
That's true.
He possibly believes that is how you get an advantage in 2027 when the party is about doing the next presidential primary. Because you've contested in the last time, you know, all the others who contested JM had dropped off. They don't want to come again because they know this is a
because I'm not so sure Dr. Dufour can proceed. I'm not so sure even Spill Gabler, right?
Yeah.
He said, well, I mean, he's not.
Dufour just dropped off. Even Sly had gone to, you know, pledge his support
100%.
to the man.
Yeah.
You know, I think Spill is in the camp of Dufour, isn't he?
Really?
Because I remember when Dufour launched his Ahunto.
Oh yes, then he was there.
Yeah, I think he was
by
there.
The subsequent interview, I think with Aisha also.
He had changed?
No, he has said that the presumptive candidate is John
Mahama. Yes, I mean,
and it's pretty obvious.
So I think for him, for Kojo Bonsu, that's why he's doing this. But if that's why he's doing this, he doesn't necessarily need to contest to have made the point.
That's the point,
right?
Yeah.
To have made the point. His posters and his billboards are already out there. He's getting the publicity capital that comes with this. So go very close to the election day, and then maybe the day before, a couple of days before, he just announced he dropped out. So we'll discuss you a bit. You'll be in a conversation. You possibly will be on a ballot paper.
That's true.
Right? You possibly be on a ballot paper because people will, NDC delegates will see your face on the ballot paper, but you've dropped out. So, you know, when the votes come, you get their reason, but I dropped out, that's why I didn't go. You know what I mean? So strategically,
and declare support for John
Mahama.
Last minute,
you know. So from a strategic point of view, if I was advising him, that's what I would say you should do. Wait till the ballot paper is printed, and it's the day. They just call and delegate support John Mahama, and then you know, just you will so benefit because delegates who will be voting will see your face on the ballot paper. The public would have, you know, and then you drop out a race. It's a 2-horse race. Dufour loses anyway. The moment wins, the next time you
you're part of the people.
And you see, if you do that, you can't just strike a deal with John Mahama. Like, I'm going to drop out, bro. I'm going to back it. You know, so we'll become president.
Maybe ministerial position. So that I now use that to project my own interest going into the future.
A lot of people actually
do John Mahama think that you have no consequence at all, that you are rarely going to get less than 200 of votes if you do. Why would you want to strike a deal with?
Oh, of course, John doesn't need to.
Yes. Yeah, but of course, for national unity, for party cohesion, and all of the words that they put in that case, there are some messages, if you will, that are also here. He is the best and the only person to turn Ghana's situation around. What I'm really they put up a post there on Facebook on Joy News about this show and the fact that we'll be reading their messages. About Mensah, the message there about, I mean, I've counted almost 30 of them. I cannot see a few of, okay, let me just read a couple. He's the best and the only person to turn Ghana's situation around. That's a dreamcast. Gabriel Matanawo says, I think he's the only person that can save us from all this crisis at the moment. Now, Panther says, it's clear and obvious that he's the best and the only person to bring the country back to normal. Kofi Smart said, remember that you are needed. There at least one important work to be done. That will not be done unless you do it. We all need to make Ghana better. Now, Daniel Basiga says, I don't have a problem who wants to rule Ghana. It's already clear. It's just a place for trials. Well, it says, is he the only candidate NDC can have, or there is more to in the coming back? That is what, in fact, this is the only message that sounds different anyway. He will still lose the general election. This is also a different message. And John Mahama is the right person to lead Ghana in this time of economic difficulties. That source code, Kunjenjala says, Ghana needs him back. He's an angel. Yeah, that is what he is saying. And Don Pablo said nothing. I think he's the, this one is saying he's greedy, actually. That's from Emma Jerifi. Teddy Amuzu Benjamin says, the best decision ever. Mumuni Farouk, since the election is going to be based on the economy, says Chama Mosquito, let NDC go for Dr. Pablo Dufour. This is from Mumuni Farouk. The devil you knew is better than the angel you don't know. That is what is being said by Kafui. And Edike said, it's a race. He has every right to contest. It could be a bad move. It could be a very good move. And in the end, it's the man and his voice, his team, his people, and the states. And he says, hashtag state of play.
Anyway, state of play. Thank you very much. You see how this plans are. By next week, the nominations would have closed, vetting would have started.
And the list will be ready.
Yes. Enjoy the rest of your day.